Right, g'day guys, Clint here for dropshipdownunder.com.au. So yeah, today I'm going to tell you about the very first item I ever actually dropshipped, to be fair, and the thing that got me into dropshipping to start with, more or less. Give me the idea to get started, and it happened to be a product that cost $160,000, if you can believe it, okay? So let me tell you the story and how it happened and how it came about and all the rest of it. So like most of my best stories, it all started in a dodgy little bar off Soi 4 in Bangkok at about 1 AM with one of my mates called Rodney. And he's quite a successful property developer in South Africa. He's South Africa and he travels back and forth between, he's got a partner here in Thailand, he travels back and forth. So he's, he's over here a lot, and we get on quite well. And basically we just got chatting, and I actually know another one of his friends, who his name's John as it happens. And I know one of his friends, and he said, "You remember John? He is actually in the used cooking oil business, right? He collects used cooking oil from people like KFC, McDonald's, all the big brands you could ever imagine that use a lot of cooking oil, day to day, and they have big vats of it. He comes and collects it and on-sells it to other people." And I'll dig into that a little bit further in a second. But Rodney said to me, "Look, John's looking for his buyer who buys from him every single load that he has. He ships his used cooking oil from South Africa to Liverpool, England, right, for the use of biodiesel. Okay, so basically Rodney said to me, hey, his buyer needs an extra 320 metric tons of used cooking oil every single month, more than what he's getting right now, and he's been reaching out to everybody trying to find where they can get more." Okay, and he said, "Hey, do you know anyone who's got lots of cooking oil in Bangkok?" And me, being me, I said, "Not right now, but I'm sure I can find out." So that's kind of how it started, right? So that put us down into a web of trying to find used cooking oil in Bangkok. We did find a few suppliers, but none that could hold that kind of volume. Okay. So what we did, I got on Alibaba, of all things. You guys use AliExpress. Again, this is not your usual dropshipping story, but it is dropshipping all the same. So we got on Alibaba. I found a few suppliers in Indonesia, and basically we just flew out there. It was crazy. Okay, so what we did, we flew out to Indonesia, a place called Semarang, which is not tourist friendly. Obviously, there's nothing out there. It's an industrial area. It is, it's basically got the kids in the background playing. Yeah, but it's a really industrial area. It's an industrial area where a lot of, Indonesia's trade and heavy industry is. They've got a massive port there. So anyway, we fly out to this random place called Semarang in Indonesia, and we went into the boondocks of, put it this way, there is no tourists anywhere. We're the only white guys anywhere to be seen. Me and John went out there, and we found this used cooking oil, and they had massive vats of it, enormous, like this swimming pool here behind me, right? Huge vats of used cooking oil. And we said, beautiful, we can make this work. So what we did, and they said they could supply that amount, which was perfect. And basically what we did is then from there we went back to his supplier and said, hey, look, we've got the volume that you need, and let's make this happen. So basically what we did is he reached out to his buyer and said, look, I've got the volume for you, we're ready to go. They negotiated a price between the two of them. They didn't necessarily know that we're buying from they did know it was coming from Indonesia, but they just assumed it was John's stocks. So what we did is we bought X works from these Indonesians, which means from their factory, and we on-sold it at about 50%. 50% on top of 50% on top of what they charged. The Indonesians charged us, right? And then we sold it onto his supplier with FOB, which is freight on board, at a heavily inflated price, right? So we bought it for really, really cheap in Indonesia, became the middleman, put no money down, right? They paid us in advance because they trusted John. They'd been in business together for over 20 years, so they knew each other. We hired a little, what would you call it, a little yard on the docks where we could house our containers full of used cooking oil. Like they have bladders in the containers, and you fill it up. I don't need to go into that right now, but we had eight containers sitting there, 20 foot containers. They got their guys to come over and test the used cooking oil, make sure it's all sweet. They paid us, we paid the Indonesians, and we kept the difference. Okay, so that's drop shipping in its own right. And from there, even though we did a few more deals with the Indonesians in the end, so where we didn't need to be there, so it was pure drop shipping at that point. But the very first deal I'd ever done drop shipping, those 8 containers cost $160,000, and yeah, we literally drop shipped it from Indonesia to Liverpool, England. So yeah, I mean, there's some crazy stories in between there, but I don't want to make this video a super duper long story. But yeah, it was it's been an adventure. Actually, it didn't last long. I was hoping, I made a really good commission out of that. Like he gave me 20% for basically doing nothing, just putting people together, finding the suppliers, because he didn't know anything much about Asia. So, I ran around and did a bit of recon and found some people, and that's how it all come about. And he's very experienced in shipping and all that sort of stuff. So, that was a really smooth process, and he had the buyer in place. So there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, you could have really gone on and built a huge business out of this, but there's a lot of moving parts, and if you don't have the connections and the buyers, there's there's a lot of moving parts, and it's a bit of a sketchy business. You're dealing with some dodgy third world business people, and some some top flight Europeans as well that really know their shit, especially when it comes to biodiesel. So it's a funny clash of cultures there, but it worked out. We made some bucks, and it was a bit of fun. I was just over here because I used to travel back and forth between here and Thailand and work in my business and travel back to Thailand. I built a house here about 15 years ago, so I've got a huge connection of a network of mates here that do all sorts of interesting things. God, I could do a whole video on people that I know over here that do crazy interesting things. But anyway, I'm rambling on now. But it was a fun time. We made some bucks. So it just goes to show, all you need to do is put a customer in touch with technically in touch with a supplier, pay no money in the middle, put them together. That's drop shipping. So that's it, guys. You want to find out more about normal drop shipping retail products, check out dropshipdownunder.com.au. Heaps of info over there. If you like the vid, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and what have you, and yeah, keep living the dream, and we'll talk again next time. Cheers.